One of the big things that keeps me on the road is knowing the alternative of living in a house. Living in a house or an apartment is a very routine, sedentary, conforming, habitual life. And even for nomads that stay in one area or travel maybe just in the summer and just in the winter, they're snowbirds, there's still something in the mind that you're not bound to a routine, you're not bound to a town. Technically, you can leave when you're ready mentally. You don't have a lot of attachments. And so I'm saying that because as a nomad, as someone who's lived out of their car for about 4 years now, I think about what are my options? My options are pretty much, look, keep living this life or go back to a conforming life. Some of which I just described, whether it would be to buy a house or rent an apartment, that part of the equation out of it, whether you buy or rent, just that lifestyle. Because there's two different lifestyles. Again, there's the conforming life, the house or the apartment, and then there's the mobile life. And even though there's some basic parts of human survival, of a daily routine of eating, working, sleeping, there's two different ways to live life, a nomadic and a static. And I think part of the reason that keeps me on the road is I really don't feel lured or I don't have an unreal expectation of what it would be like if I buy a house. And because I spent 15 years owning a house, staying in one location, I know what that lifestyle is. And because I've done the nomadic life for 4 years now, I also have a realistic expectation and realistic experience. Neither lifestyle is 100% perfect. Nothing in life is perfect. But you always try to evaluate what's better. And what's better does change over time. Like when you're younger, it may be better to be static, right? Because you need stability to grow, to nourish yourself, to stay planted in a community. When you're older, I think the same thing. I think middle of your life is kind of a life where you really have the physical health and the wherewithal to be mobile, especially now with being able to work for a lot of people remotely in many ways. But my point in this video is, for me, there's not really an allure to going back to a house because I just see it as a dead-end street. Like, it's not going to bring what a lot of people think having a house or getting a new apartment brings. A lot of people think doing that will make their life better, but it won't, per se. I mean, the only thing I even consider buying a home base is because I really do like to be in Florida most of the year, and I like the culture and the community and the weather. But it's still not enough to really sell me on not having that relief valve, not having that out in my mind that anytime I want to leave an area, I can leave it. Okay, if there's a hurricane, if there's red tide, if there's a change in the environment, I can leave. And just knowing that I'm unattached kind of is really a great sales pitch in my mind to keep me living this life, especially while I'm still middle-aged and thank God I have health. Now, I do say the biggest risk, nomads take is if your health took a turn for the worse, being on the road is not where you want to be. And that's a fair point to bring up. It's a fair risk. And that's why some nomads have a home base, especially as they get older, because it's something to consider. But I always tell you can supplement the lack of a home base, with Airbnb, with short-term rentals, with a fully self-contained RV. Look, if you got a fully self-contained RV, you got a house wherever you are. So, but I don't know. I mean, I think as you get older in life, you don't have this illusion that one thing will solve the restlessness of life. Now, some people don't get it, even they're very old. Some people who are very old, they go from RV to RV, from this to that, and they're like a ping pong ball. And that's their decision. I'm not saying that's the wrong way. But for me, rather than going back and forth and like just not going forward, I'd rather just discipline myself and say, what does this acquisition of a house, apartment, or RV, what does it really get me? beyond the basics, beyond the basic essentials of survival, a lot of things are just fluff. They may be extra comfort, extra amenities, and there's nothing wrong with that, but they don't really change your life, you know? And, you know, the nomadic life changed my life, you know, because I can change so quickly. Flexibility is your greatest asset. In the static life, you're less flexible. And that reality of what a conforming life brings and the stickiness of owning a house and all the entanglements, I'm just not sold on it, you know? I mean, I was sold on it when I was young, and I thought about the American dream. And I see value in owning property over long periods of time, especially for certain people with families or even as you get older. But for a single person who doesn't want a family and maybe not at retirement age, I don't know, man. I see flexibility as my greatest asset that I don't want to give up. So what are my options? It's to go back to the static life and be anchored, or it's to stay nomadic and have maximum options, maximum flexibility. That's a hard thing to give up. You know, the only way you give it up, I guess, you know, is you find something very cost effective and it gives you a level of stability without too much commitment. But that's very rare, and even that brings a mental entanglement. So what are your options? There's really only two options, you know. You're nomadic or you're static. You know, again, even if you're a nomad and you travel in 1 or 2 towns, you still are on wheels. You can technically still go whenever you want, but the minute you commit to a lease or a property, you're anchored until you get out of it. You have obligations, okay? And that word obligations, the word maintenance, the word liability, it doesn't sit well with my soul. And that's my only other option. You know, look, if I go back to a conforming life, I get back into obligation, maintenance, and liability. I don't like those words. I like freedom, flexibility, and minimal commitments. So I still look at Realtor.com every night. I still, you know, look at RVs. I still look at different ways to live. And I always come back to the conclusion, man, you know, is that really going to make my life really, really better? And after you run all the numbers and after you visualize yourself owning that property for several months to several years, and all the entanglements and the neighbors and the HOAs or the property taxes, the utility companies, it's just hard to justify, you know. It's hard, you know. So there's no perfect answer, though, and I don't try to oversell you guys on any life. And I'll change my mind at any time. You know, tomorrow if I want to buy a house, I'll do it. But I almost like the fact that tomorrow I could do anything I want, you know. But once I buy a house, like, I don't have that much, like, you know, yeah, I can sell the house, but I don't have, like, the change at a quick of a dime, you know. Like, tomorrow I could buy a house, tomorrow I could buy an RV, tomorrow I could do nothing. Like, I could do whatever, okay? But once you buy a house, once you buy an RV, your options start to get more, you know, anchored down, more, you know, less options, you know what I mean? So it's like, why would I want less options? I want more options, you know. So I don't know. Those are my thoughts, you know. I hope they help you. I hope my videos help you in some way. If they do, click the thumbs up. Thank you to all my members. If you'd like to support the channel and get unlimited access, click the join button. I appreciate you. I'll see you in the live chats. Outside of that, guys, keep pushing forward. Do the best you can. Take care of yourself. Self-care. Healthy relationships. Live below your means. Maximize your potential. And don't be scared to be embarrassed. Don't be scared to have people ridicule you, especially if what you're doing is not hurting anyone, because you're always going to have critics. So, you know, it's like you can live in their prison, or you could just live your best life and take some criticism, one or the other. All right, guys? Peace.